Good afternoon. My name is James Colzo, and this is my second of two videos. Today I'll be discussing about creativity in franchising. Background about myself: I'm a general partner in a franchising group, My Restaurant Franchise Group. All right, so when I bought the franchise, I had a few goals in owning this restaurant. My first and foremost goal was I wanted to be an owner, not an owner-operator. So to put that in perspective, I am already, under a very regimented, rule-based job as a pilot. I wanted the creativity aspect of being my own boss, setting my own rules, and it sounded really exciting, just a little more complicated. Um, so owner versus operator, I'm going to start off with a question. When you walk into a coffee shop, let's say your neighborhood coffee shop, do you notice a difference between that coffee shop where the owner's present and let's say a Starbucks? First off, that neighborhood coffee shop is going to have that personal touch. It might have things that go above and beyond, let's say, a Starbucks or any type of corporate owned or big ownership group type of establishment. However, I bet you also notice that it might be a little disorganized. It might not have a goal of growth. It might not have a strategy. You might notice that the owner might be a little scatterbrained. That's because the owner is in there probably 24/7 killing themselves, tied up in the operation. On the other hand, you get a Starbucks or a Chipotle or Panera Bread that's owned by an ownership group that has actual owners that are not, in the daily operations, the daily grind, that are focused on growth model, taxes, maximizing profitability. Hey, where's this company headed? What are some HR issues that we need to deal with to make our employee retention better? All great things that an owner could focus on versus wrapped up in operations. So that was my choice, and that's how I've been operating my business. All right, to begin, so the way the franchise started, it was easy. So I call it on my slides, if you're following along with me, a dog and pony show. Went out to the corporate headquarters, we hugged, we kissed babies, had a great time. Everyone loved that I was writing them a check, which was very, very easy. Everything was streamlined. The build out, they gave me a checklist. I love checklists. Follow the checklist, and all of a sudden, 4 months later, a restaurant is built and ready to be opened. The franchising agreements, all the paperwork. I even got little sticky notes that said "sign here." It was wonderful. It was very easy, and I started beginning to wonder during the build out and all the paperwork, where's the creativity in this? It seems like the franchise is just telling me what to do, but there's more. So I opened the doors, and much to my surprise, no one showed up. So I called the franchise, on the phone, asked them what the deal was, and they gave me the company line: stick to the basics, stick to what we taught you, and things are going to work out. So I'll come back full circle to that statement right there. However, I am a type A and very impatient, and I needed sales. I had loans, I had debts to pay, I bootstrapped this, I spent my life savings. I needed a way to grow sales, as I was bleeding cash every month. So now the creativity starts kicking in. I have a problem. I don't have sales. How do I get sales? So I turned to, what most of you are probably going through in undergrad: marketing. So, back when I was in undergrad, which was, in the year 2000, um, I really thought that if I had an ad during the Super Bowl, that I would be a millionaire. I would get unlimited sales. However, that did not work for me. I call it sexy marketing, and that's TV, radio, magazine, print type of deals, and newspapers. Anything like that, I really didn't get a whole lot of results from. Um, Even against the franchise's will, I couponed, which actually did work. And I also agree with the franchise that it attracted customers that only coupon. So the minute I stopped the couponing, they stopped. The minute I started coupon, they came. So they would only patronize my restaurant when they were getting a discount, which really, those margins aren't built into my cost. So after all the expenses and failures in the sexy marketing, I turned to the free creative marketing, where I had to come up with items that were in my budget, which was basically no money. So I started walking around and just talking to businesses in person. I'd bring a menu and staple a free burrito card to it and say, introduce myself, tell them I'm a new restaurant and they should come check it out, and lunch is on me. In addition, I would host fundraisers for the kids and the teams and the clubs that would come to the restaurant, wanting you to spend $300 on an ad in their, let's say, school play. It really wouldn't generate anything. However, if you host a fundraiser in the restaurant and give the team, let's say, 30% of revenue they generate, now all of a sudden they're making $500-600 and they're pumped. Plus, you get tons of new customers, loyal customers. So that personal touch really went a long ways. And being impatient, I didn't realize that it took time. It took time, during a grassroots marketing approach to generate those sales. And some of those businesses I went to 7 years ago and introduced myself, they still come to the restaurant on a regular basis, a couple times a week. Those fundraisers that I help teams out, those parents still come to the restaurant only because I hosted that fundraiser. So the key really to my marketing push was really to maintain my customers. It's expensive to go out and get a new customer, and it's basically free to maintain the customer, which is what the franchise was saying from the beginning. It's all about customer maintenance. It's about your four walls, having a good experience every time they come in, a consistent experience in a clean restaurant. So after I opened, started generating some sales, my staff grew. It was easy at first when it was just my partner, myself, a couple key staff, but as I grew to 30 employees, now all of a sudden I'm dealing with personalities. So in my slides, I'm saying that I'm not an HR specialist, but I had to become one very quickly as issues came up. So my mantra became, bring me solutions, not problems. When my key staff would come and talk to me, they know that I have ideas. They know that I have answers, but they might not be the right answers. They might not be what say my key staff really wants. So I have empowered them to come up with some creative, flexible solutions to problems and present that to me. And at the end of the day, if they're excited about it, I'll probably agree if it makes sense. So I do give my managers a chance, which creates employee buy-in. It enables creativity and ultimately flexibility in all the decisions being made. An example of this is, the standard, my manager wants a pay raise. I think I pay him too much. He thinks he's overworked. He needs more. So he wants money and I want margins. Really, I want increased sales. I want decreased labor, decreased cost of goods sold. So we modified the way he was paid. So instead of just getting a flat salary, he is now paid off of profitability. So amazingly, my payroll plummeted, cost of goods sold went down, expenses overall plummeted, and sales have increased. So it's funny the way it works when you give someone a chance to come up with their own solution. Another creative problem solution that employees have come up with are when customers complain. So right off the bat, you want to become defensive naturally, and we have a different policy. So whether a customer is right or wrong, whether we believe them or not, we're nice to them. We're empathetic. We listen, and I reward employees for those types of actions. No matter where the conversation goes, we always thank the customer for their feedback, thank them for having, the strength to come up and talk to us about a problem. We assure them that we're going to work on it, and then we give them a couple free burrito cards to come back and give to their friends. And believe it or not, those people, we see them on a regular basis and they become our friends. And we get to, work on some problems that we may or may not have thought that we had. All right, so I've spoken about my goals, with owning this business in franchising, and I spoke about this in my last presentation. But my goal is in ownership, not operating a restaurant. I love my professional job, and I would like to do both if that's possible. So, and I do both. I'm an owner and also a professional pilot. So, in dealing with all these issues that we've kind of touched on briefly, we've had to come up with some creative communication strategies while I travel between myself and my manager. So our learning curve with technology has been impressive. Um, Back when I built the restaurant in 2006, I didn't even know an iPhone could text and email just on Wi-Fi without, the AT&T or Verizon network. So, you become savvy in Skype. You become savvy. Some places I've been, they do not allow Skype or FaceTime. So you find some other app. You just kind of make it happen. Um, an example of this is I process all payroll and pay taxes online. So when I'm traveling, how do you do this? So believe it or not, QuickBooks, which is how I do all my accounting, has an online variant. If I don't have my laptop with me, which actually I always carry my laptop, but it's a little more difficult on an iPad, but I can just log in online and just take care of all those issues. So once again, just kind of creatively figuring out, how to get stuff done in, non-optimal solutions. Unfortunately, in this communication style, a lot of nonverbals are lost. So the way I combat that is I have a very strong presence. When I'm not traveling, I always make sure I talk to all my employees and let them know how I'm feeling. So when I do have to do some non in-person communication, I guess, people understand and are empathetic to an email or a text and understand that I'm doing the best I can. And, because I do have that personal rapport that was spoken about in the 7 habits that we studied during class in 5663. In the slides, I don't know how to do that. That becomes part of the past. I've never done that before, or I don't know anything about that. Um, those are all items that kind of just leave your vocabulary, and it almost makes me laugh when I'm out, just in real life, I guess, and I ask someone to help me out with something, and they say, I've never done that before, I don't know anything about that. So as an owner, that's pretty much happens to me 100% of the time, that I've never done something before or I don't know anything about it, but it's directly related to growth and profitability of your business. So you better figure out how to um, learn about it and solve that problem, or else the business probably isn't going to work out. So once again, just finding creative ways to, the gray area answers. Um, Everything's non-standard. There's no standard in whatever creative solution you have. You're pretty much always adjusting, and I just expect, tomorrow something's going to come up that I've never dealt with before, and hopefully I'll come up with the best solution. And I'm always amazed at what the unexpected. I've kind of just become to expect it, and with a positive attitude and the right team, you'll get through it. All right, we're getting to the end here. We spoke today about some ownership traits and ownership versus being an owner-operator, and how it's a very distinct difference. Some creative methods to kickstart a business when sales might not be in accordance with your pro forma statement. Talked about HR learning curve and how you're going to become a specialist as you hire on more and more people. So that's always a great time. I wish you all the best of luck in that. If you do travel, how are you going to communicate with your key staff, and creative ways to kind of continue the innovation in effective communication? And just overall, franchising is to the common person might seem like it's cookie cutter, might seem easy. You know, they have checklists for everything. They have a policy. They have this beautiful paperwork and um, clip art, and it's wonderful. But the minute you open those doors, it's a business just like anything else. There's gonna be problems, and there's no solution, and no one could help you with those solution unless you have the appropriate staff, unless you are continuously innovating and challenging yourself, other owners, and your management to innovate and to find creative solutions. So I wish you all the best of luck. It was a pleasure speaking about creativity and franchising. And once again, my email's on the title page. Love to hear from you. I love talking about this stuff and wish you all the best of luck in your pursuit.